inside the pack, which doesn't look quite this empty at the moment because I'm carrying a lot more in reality, but if I was going hut out it would look like this. First thing is a waterproof bag that's just used for the extra clothing. So this, at the moment, in these conditions in the Alps in the summer, I just carry a spare micro fleece. These are great. Chris Townsend mentioned these in the TGO. Jack Wolfskin Gecko micro fleece. Very, very small, very, very light, but surprisingly warm for their weight. Also, I carry in here the sleeping bag liner that you have to carry in the Alps in anywhere where you're going into a gîte or a hut, because you have to carry your own bedding. I carry it up there because if you arrive in a high mountain hut and there's no showers, there's nothing to do apart from sit, have a beer on the terrace and wait for dinner, all you want to do is get out your sleeping kit and then go and sit on the terrace. So if the sleeping kit's high up, you get it out, you're done. You don't need to unpack your rucksack in probably about 2 square meters of space with 5 other people. It's just much quicker that way. Waterproof trousers, the Montaigne Atomics. They weigh about 200 grams, fantastic pair of trousers, I've used these for years. Waterproof jacket, something really lightweight. This is the Yeti liner jacket that I've had custom made, which there's a couple of blog entries on already. If you're reading the blog you know about that. But something very, very light. Toiletries, which is probably worth a whole entry on their own, but the one thing that's worth mentioning particularly is the MSR pack towel. MSR make pack towels that are very absorbent. Everyone knows pack towels. Cascade Designs, who make Thermarests, have been making things called pack towels for years, and most people have tried them, and most people have found they don't really work. They're not very absorbent. These just soak up water very, very quickly, and also they double up as a washcloth. So if you arrive in one of those huts where there's no showers and you want to go and have a beer, well, 5 minutes at a sink with one of these things and just wet it and give yourself a good washing off and rinse it out. It's so much better than not having a shower. First aid kit, very personal bit of kit. Everyone's first aid kit varies depending on what they've done and what experience they've got with training. One thing that I found very useful recently is just some wool. You can get it from chemist shops in the UK, but you can get it online as well. It's just a bit of pure wash sheep's wool, and I found that it's very useful for padding out the toe of this thing where there's a seam in these terox that's biting into one of my toes. The last pair of terox didn't seem to have it, but this has suffered from it right there. A tiny bit of wool just in the end there. You could probably pick some up from the hillside in most places, to be honest, but that's worked wonders. Completely optional, and already the subject of a blog entry, the 5 fingers. These have been fantastic, very, very comfortable, highly recommend these. It's nice to swap between shoes and the 5 fingers to get a different kind of style of walking, and of course a much more natural way of walking in these things. We've bought toe socks, but unfortunately they've blown within about 5 days of use, but I still think they're probably worth having, just for a bit of extra padding and a bit of insulation from very hot tarmac if you ever do any little road sections. Obviously there's the platy Ziploc in there, you can't get those anymore. I got the last one in the UK unfortunately from the importer. Just find something to replace that when it dies. Waterproof bag, just a poly bag, but a good quality one, like a rubble sack from a builder's merchants or something like that. Spare clothing. The only spare clothing, duplicate clothing I carry is just 3 things. A pair of socks, a pair of boxer shorts and a t-shirt. They're all merino wool, fantastic stuff, merino wool. It has the same kind of characteristics as the synthetics, but the main thing it does that I really like is that it resists getting smelly. It really resists getting smelly. What I do is I wear one t-shirt for walking. I'll always walk in this t-shirt. When I come into the hut, I'll give this a good rinse in the sink, hang it up somewhere to dry, and I'll put on this t-shirt overnight. And then the next morning I'll swap back again. So this is the one that's always taking the hammering, and eventually it will get a bit pongy without being washed in the washing machine. Whereas this will always be nice, so I can sit at dinner and on the return flight home or wherever on the train without stinking the carriage out. But merino wool, fantastic stuff. Icebreaker, good brand, smart wool, but also chocolate fish merino sell in the UK, and I'd imagine other places. They took over the manufacturing from Icebreaker when Icebreaker went out to the Far East. Toilet paper in a waterproof bag, inside the waterproof bag, because the waterproof bags always end up popping open at the worst moment and you end up with a big wad of wet paper that's not good to anyone. And a spare lighter in there in case you need to set light to something, or burn back a seam if you cut something. The second thing in here, the last thing in here rather, is a second waterproof bag. This I've already blogged about, but you can pancake your duvet jacket and sleeping bag, if you've got a sleeping bag in here, down to a nice flat pancake like that. Put it inside this bag, squeeze it into the bottom of that, and it fills out the bottom of the bag, and it packs so much more easily than keeping it in the original stuff sack. And always with down, just squash it in, don't roll it. Rolling it compresses the fibres the same way, particularly synthetic. Don't roll synthetic, always stuff. So 2 waterproof bags. I found these Cedar Summit waterproof bags are really quite bomb-proof. After a lot of use they do occasionally start to weep a tiny bit at a couple of seams, but fill it up with water and test it. I've already blogged about that as well. That, I think, is the final thing in the bag. That's the lot. That's all I carry, hut to hut, in the Alps.